Good afternoon, class of 2014. You can sit down now. Good afternoon. It is our great privilege as your senior class officers to welcome you to Class Day. Welcome families and friends who have traveled from all 50 states and 61 countries, including Bahrain, Mama Baba, I see you, to be here. To faculty and staff who have made these 4 years so rich and rewarding. To alumni and honored guests who have come to share this day with us. And most importantly, welcome to the Yale College Class of 2014. Today is our day.
Class Day gives us one last chance to come together, as long as you brought your senior dues stickers. No. Today, we will celebrate our time at Yale. We will listen to reflections from our peers, distribute prizes and honors, and hear from Secretary of State and Yale alum John Kerry. We would like to take a moment to thank our family and friends for your love and support during these 4 years. This day is as much about you as it is about us, even though, Mom, I didn't make you a lanyard. So 2014, please stand up, turn around, and thank the people who helped us get here today.
Before we turn over the stage, we'd like to thank you for an exhilarating and memorable year. It has been a joy and a privilege to serve as your class officers. You've shattered the attendance record for every event this year.
Woo!
Whether it was dressing up for the masquerade ball, flooding Mohegan Sun, or filling up nearly every bar in New Haven during senior week. We'd like to thank those who've worked so hard to organize these events. Your senior class council representatives, Dean Meskey, and the hardworking staff of the Dean's office. And so, whether you've come from near or far, Old Campus or TD, whether you're just graduating or returning after many years, whether you call this city home or you're visiting Yale for the first time, welcome to Class Day.
On behalf of the Yale College Class of 2014, we are excited to introduce, from Yale's class of 1966, Secretary of State John Kerry. Thank you for coming, Secretary Kerry, and welcome home. As an undergraduate in JE, John Kerry was a visible leader on campus. He served as chairman of the Liberal Party and as president of the Yale Political Union. He played junior varsity ice hockey, earned a letter in soccer, and played lacrosse. And as for so many of us, the activities at Yale and the friendships he formed here helped shape his destiny. In those days at Class Day, a student was chosen to speak, and Secretary Kerry was chosen to give the address. But after some reflection, he decided that the speech he prepared was too cliched, so he threw it away and wrote a new speech that seemed more relevant to the world that which he and his classmates were entering, a broad questioning of the architecture and assumptions of American foreign policy, including those undergirding the war he would soon be fighting. He is here today on the 48th anniversary of that speech, and it will be hard for anyone who knows to hear that speech without thinking of that one. After Yale, Secretary Kerry went on to serve in the Navy and was decorated with a Bronze Star with Combat V, a Silver Star, and 3 Purple Hearts spanning his 2 tours of duty in Vietnam. After returning home, he began to speak out forcefully against the war, testifying in front of the United States Foreign Relations Committee at age 27. Secretary Kerry had an extraordinary, distinguished Senate career. He was the Democratic nominee for president in 2004, and as chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, Secretary Kerry earned the respect and trust of his Senate colleagues, Democrats, and Republicans. And in December 2012, President Obama announced his nomination of John Kerry to succeed Hillary Clinton as Secretary of State, and he was confirmed by the Senate almost unanimously.
Over the past 15 months leading the State Department, Secretary Kerry has traveled over 400,000 miles to nearly 50 countries. He is on track to shatter the records for miles traveled, days spent overseas, and Yale hockey games attended. From Jerusalem to Juba, from Kabul to Kiev, and from the Netherlands to New Haven, Secretary Kerry is the tireless face of American foreign policy. Yet in his time as Secretary of State, what stands out more than how many miles he's logged is the persistence and passion with which he represents America. Whether it's the civil war in Syria or nuclear negotiations with Iran, the crisis in Ukraine or Middle East peace, whether it's combating climate change or advancing LGBT rights around the world, Secretary Kerry has shown that he is willing to take on issues that others say are either impossible to solve or not worth fighting for or should be kicked down the road. In today's politics, there are many more critics than there are men and women in the arena willing to take big risks to solve big problems. We are truly fortunate to have one of those leaders serving as Secretary of State, someone who embodies what another man with the initials JFK called that most admirable of human virtues, courage. 48 years since he stood before his own graduating Yale College Class of 1966, it is our honor to welcome back someone whose lifetime of public service is something we can all learn from and look up to. Family, friends, suitemates, fellow members of the Yale College Class of 2014, please join us in welcoming Secretary of State John Kerry.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I think Winston Churchill said the only reason people give a standing ovation is they desperately seek an excuse to shift their underwear. So, certainly before I've opened my mouth, that's true. Anyways, President Salovey and faculty members, parents, siblings who came here under the false impression that there would be free food, Handsome Dan, wherever you are, probably at some fire hydrant somewhere, members of the 2013 NCAA champion men's ice hockey team, distinguished guests and graduates of the class of 2014. I really am privileged to be able to be here and share the celebration of this day with you, especially 48 years after standing up right here as a very intimidated senior wondering what I was going to say. You are graduating today as the most diverse class in Yale's long history, or as they call it in the NBA, Donald Sterling's worst nightmare. Nia and Josh, thank you for such a generous introduction. What Josh didn't mention is that he interned for me at the State Department last summer. And, well, hold on a minute now. I learned that he's not afraid to talk truth to power, or semi-truth. On his last day, he walked up to me at the State Department. He was brutally honest. He said, "Mr. Secretary, JE sucks." No. Actually, on the last day at the State Department, he asked if I would come here today and deliver a message his classmates really needed to hear. So here it goes. Jared Phillips, you still owe Josh money from that road trip last fall. I have to tell you, it is really fun for me to be back here on the old campus. I'm accompanied by a classmate of mine. We were on the soccer team together. We had a lot of fun. He served as ambassador to Italy recently, David Thorne. And my daughter, Vanessa, graduated in the class of 1999. So I know what a proud moment this is for your parents, but my friends, the test will be if they still feel this way next May if you live at home. Now, I'm really happy you made it back from Myrtle Beach. as if you hadn't already logged enough keg time at Wode's. Just remember, 4.0 is a really good GPA, but it's a lousy blood alcohol level. I love the hats. We didn't have the hats when I was here. I love the hats. They are outrageous. They're spectacular. This may well be the only event that Pharrell could crash and go unnoticed. And I've been looking around. I've seen a couple of few Red Sox hats out there. I've also seen a few of those dreaded interlocking N's and Y's. But that's okay. I said diversity is important. It's also an easy way for me to tell who roots for the Yankees and who's graduating with distinction. So here's the deal. I went online and I learned in the Yale Daily comments that I wasn't everyone's first choice to be up here. And when Yale announced that I'd be speaking, someone actually wrote, "I hope they give out 5-hour energy to help everyone stay awake." Okay. Well, don't worry, folks. I promise not to be 1 minute over 4 hours. Someone else wrote, "I haven't screwed up badly as Secretary of State yet." Well, all I can say is stay tuned. But my favorite comment was this: "I'm really proud that a Yalie is Secretary of State." I should have stopped reading right there because he or she went on to write, "But he is butt ugly." So there go my dreams of being on Yale's 50 most beautiful list. It really is a privilege for me to share this celebration with you, though I am forewarned that no one remembers who delivers their graduation speech. All I really remember about our speaker in 1966 is that he was eloquent, insightful, really good looking. Anyway, one thing I promise you, I will stay away from the tired cliches of commencement. Things like be yourself, do what makes you happy, don't use the laundry room in Saybrook. That's about all I'll say about that. So right after we graduated, Time magazine came out with its famous Man of the Year issue. But for 1966, Time didn't pick one man or one woman. They picked our entire generation. And Time expressed a lot of high hopes for us. It not only predicted that we'd cure the common cold, but that we'd cure cancer too. It predicted that we'd build smog-free cities and that we'd end poverty and war once and for all. I know what you're thinking. We really crushed it. So, fair question, did my generation get lost? Well, that's actually a conversation for another time. But let me put one theory to rest. It's not true that everyone in my generation experimented with drugs, although between Flomax, Lipitor, and Viagra, now we do. Now, I did have some pretty creative classmates back then. One of my good friends, very close friends in JE, I'm going to set it right for you guys right now. One of my good friends in JE had at least 2 harebrained ideas. The first was a little startup built on the notion that if people had a choice, they'd pay a little more to mail a package and have it arrive the very next day. Crazy, right? Today, that startup is called FedEx, And by the way, it was created in JE, which therefore means JE rules. Now, his other nutty idea was to restart something called the Yale Flying Club. And admittedly, this was more of a scheme to get us out of class and off the campus. So I basically spent my senior year majoring in flying, practicing takeoffs and landings out at Tweed Airport. Responsible? No, but I wouldn't have missed it. And one of the best lessons I learned here is that Mark Twain was absolutely right. Never let school get in the way of an education. Now, I didn't know it at the time, but Yale also taught me to finish what you start. And that's one thing that clearly separates us from Harvard. After all, a lot of those guys don't even graduate. Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, Matt Damon, what the hell have they ever amounted to? Now, for all I ever learned at Yale, I have to tell you, truthfully, the best piece of advice I ever got was actually one word from my 89-year-old mother. I'll never forget sitting by her bedside and telling her that I had decided to run for president. And she squeezed my hand and she said, "Integrity, John, integrity. Just remember always integrity." And maybe that tells you a lot about what she thought about politics, but you should know, in a complicated world full of complicated decisions and close calls that could go either way, what keeps you awake at night isn't so much whether or not you got the decision right or wrong, it's whether you made your decision for the right reasons. Integrity. And the single best piece of advice I ever received about diplomacy didn't come from my international relations class, but it came from my father, who served in the Foreign Service. He told me that diplomacy was really about being able to see the world through the eyes of someone else, to understand their aspirations and assumptions. And perhaps that's just another word for empathy, but whatever it is, I will tell you, sitting here on one of the most gorgeous afternoons in New Haven as you graduate, listening makes a difference. Not just in foreign ministries, but on the streets and in the souks and on the social media network the world over. So class of 2014, as corny as it may sound, remember that your parents aren't just here today as spectators. They're also here as teachers. And even if it's counterintuitive, it's not a bad idea to stay enrolled in their course as long as you can. Now, for my part, I am grateful to Yale because I did learn a lot here in all of the ways that a great university can teach. But there is one phrase from one class above all that for some reason was indelibly stamped into my consciousness. Perhaps it's because I spent almost 30 years in the United States Senate seeing it applied again and again. One morning in the law school auditorium, my professor, John Morton Blum, said simply, "All politics is a reaction to felt needs." What I thought he meant is that things only get done in public life when the people who want something demand nothing less, and the people who make it happen decide that they can do nothing less. Those felt needs have driven every movement and decision that I've witnessed in politics since. From South Africa a couple of decades ago to the Arab Spring a few years ago to our own communities, where same-sex couples refuse to be told by their government who they can love. In 1963, I remember walking out of Dwight Hall one evening after an activist named Allard Lowenstein gave the most impassioned and eloquent plea that I had ever heard. He compelled us to feel the need to engage in the struggle for civil rights right here in our own country. And that's why, just steps from here, right over there on High Street, we lined up buses that drove students from Yale and elsewhere south to be part of the Mississippi voter registration drive and help break the back of Jim Crow. Ultimately, we forced Washington to ensure through the law that our values were not mere words. We saw Congress respond to this felt need. and passed the Civil Rights Act and the Voting Rights Act. And life in America did change. Not only did landmark civil rights advances grow out of the sit-ins and marches, but we saw the EPA and the Clean Water Act and the Clean Air Act and the Safe Drinking Water Act and all of it come out of Earth Day in 1970. We saw women refusing to take a back seat, force institutions to respond, producing Title IX and a Yale University that quickly transformed from the male bastion of 1966. Citizens, including veterans of the war, spoke up and brought our troops home from Vietnam. The fact is that what leaps out at me now is the contrast between those heady days and today. Right or wrong, and like it or not, and certainly some people didn't like it. Back then, institutions were hard-pressed to avoid addressing the felt needs of our country. Indeed, none of what I've talked about happened overnight. The pace of change was different from today. The same fall that my class walked in as freshmen, Nelson Mandela walked into prison. It wasn't until 30 years later, when my daughter walked through these gates for the first time, that Mandela was his country's president. When I was a senior, the debate over the growing war in Vietnam was becoming all-consuming, but it took another 7 years before combat ended for our country, and more than 25,000 lives. And it wasn't until the year 2000 that we finally made peace and normalized relations. Now, amazingly, we have more Vietnamese studying in America, including some in your class, than from almost any other country in the world. What's notable is this daring journey of progress played out over years, decades, and even generations. But today, the felt needs are growing at a faster pace than ever before, piling up on top of each other, while the response in legislatures or foreign capitals seems non-existent or frozen. It's not that the needs aren't felt. It's that people around the world seem to have grown used to seeing systems or institutions failing to respond. And the result is an obvious deepening frustration, if not exasperation, with institutional governance. The problem is today's institutions are simply not keeping up or even catching up to the felt needs of our time. Right before our eyes, difficult decisions are deferred or avoided altogether. Some people even give up before they try because they just don't believe that they can make a difference. And the sum total of all of this inaction is stealing the future from all of us. Just a few examples, from little to big. A train between Washington and New York that can go 150 miles per hour, but lacking modern infrastructure, goes that fast for only 18 miles of the trip. An outdated American energy grid, which can't sell energy from one end of the country to the other. Climate change growing more urgent by the day, with 97% of scientists telling us for years of the imperative to act. The solution is staring us in the face. Make energy policy choices now that will allow America to lead a $6 trillion market, yet we still remain gridlocked. Immigration reform, urgently needed to unleash the power, the full power, of millions who live here and make our laws in the doing so both sensible and fair. And on the world stage, you will not escape it, even more urgency. We see huge growing populations of young people in places that offer little education, little economic or political opportunity. In countries from North Africa to East Asia, you are older than half their population. 40% of their population is younger than Yale's next incoming class. If we can't galvanize action to recognize their felt needs, if we don't do more to coordinate an attack on extreme poverty, provide education, opportunity, and jobs, we invite instability, and I promise you, radical extremism is all too ready to fill the vacuum left behind. What should be clear to everyone And it's perhaps what makes our current predicament, frankly, so frustrating, is that none of our problems are without solutions. None of them. But neither will they solve themselves. So for all of us, it's really a question of willpower, not capacity. It's a matter of refusing to fall prey to the cynicism and apathy that have always been the mortal enemies of progress. And it requires keeping faith with the ability of institutions of America to do big things when the moment demands it. Remember what Nelson Mandela said when confronted by pessimism in the long march to freedom. It always seems impossible until it is done. One thing I know for sure, these and other felt needs will never be addressed if we fall victim to the slow suffocation of conventional wisdom. On Tuesday, I sat in the State Department with some young Foreign Service officers, and one of them said something to me that I've been thinking about, frankly, all week. He wasn't much older than any of you. He said, we've gone from an era where power lived in hierarchies to an era where power lives in networks. And now we're wrestling with the fact that those hierarchies are unsettled by the new power. Every one of you and your parents have mobile devices here today. And they represent a lot more than your ability to put a picture on Facebook or Instagram. They are one of the powerful new instruments of change that makes hierarchies uncomfortable, because you can communicate with everybody, anywhere, all the time. And that's how you beat conventional wisdom. That's what makes me certain that felt needs are not just problems. They are opportunities. And I am convinced if you're willing to challenge the conventional wisdom, which you should be after this education, you can avoid the dangerous byproducts of indifference, hopelessness, and my least favorite, cynicism. It is indifference that says our problems are so great, let's not even try. We have to reject that. It's hopelessness that says that our best days are behind us. I couldn't disagree more. It's cynicism that says we're powerless to effect real change and that the era of American leadership is over. I don't believe that for a second, and neither does President Obama. We refuse to limit our vision of the possibilities for our country, and so should you. Together, we have to all refuse to accept the downsizing of America's role in a very complicated world. I happen to love T.S. Eliot's love song of J. Alfred Prufrock, one of my favorite poems, and I respectfully challenge you to never wind up fretfully musing, as Prufrock did, do I dare disturb the universe? In a minute there is time for decisions and revisions which a minute will reverse. Class of 2014, your job is to disturb the universe. You have to reject the notion that the problems are too big and too complicated, so don't wade in. You don't have the luxury of just checking out, and it doesn't matter what profession you wind up in, what community you live in, where you are, what you're doing, you do not have that luxury. One of the greatest rewards of being Secretary of State is getting to see with my own eyes how much good news there actually is in the world. How many good people there are out there every single day, courageously fighting back. The truth is that everywhere I go, I see or hear about an extraordinary number of individual acts of courage and bravery, all of which defy the odds, all by people who simply refuse to give up and who start with a lot less opportunity than you do. You can see this in the lonely human rights activist who struggles against tyranny and against a dictator until they are defeated. You see it in the democracy activist who goes to jail trying to ensure that an election is free and transparent. You see it in the civil rights lawyer who suffered scorn and isolation for standing against bigotry, racism, and intolerance. I am literally in awe of the courage that ordinary, anonymous people demonstrate in the most difficult circumstances imaginable, in a dank African jail, a North Korean gulag, a prison in Syria or Central Asia, facing the cruelest persecution and lonely isolation. Many of these people just quietly disappear. They lose their lives. They never become an international cause or a global hero. Courage is not a strong enough word for what they do every day, and all of us need to think about that. What all these people have in common, and what I hope they have in common with you, is that they refuse to be complacent and indifferent to what is going on around them or to what should be going on around them. And that's the most important lesson I hope you will take with you when you leave Yale. The fact is that for those of you who have them, your loans are not the only burden you graduate with today. You have had the privilege of a Yale education. No matter where you come from, no matter where you're going next, the 4 years that you've spent here are an introduction to responsibility. And your education requires something more of you than serving yourself. It calls on you to give back in whatever way you can. It requires you to serve the world around you, and yes, to make a difference. That is what has always set America apart: our generosity, our humanity, our idealism. Last year, I walked through the devastation of the typhoon that hit the Philippines. The U.S. military and USAID and regular volunteers got there before countries that lived a lot closer. We went there without being asked and without asking for anything in return. And today, Americans are helping to bring that community back to life. In Nigeria, when Boko Haram kidnapped hundreds of girls, the government didn't turn to other powerful countries for help. And by the way, they're not offering. As Josh and Nia mentioned, it was my privilege to stand here 48 years ago at Class Day. Before coming here, I did reread that speech. A lot of it was about Vietnam, but one line jumped out at me. In 1966, I suggested an excess of isolation had led to an excess of interventionism. Today, we hear a different tune from some in Congress and even on some campuses, and we face the opposite concern. We cannot allow a hangover from the excessive interventionism of the last decade to lead now to an excess of isolationism in this decade. I can tell you for certain, most of the rest of the world doesn't lie awake at night worrying about America's presence. They worry about what would happen in our absence. Without arrogance, without chauvinism, never forget that what makes America different from other nations is not a common bloodline or a common religion or a common ideology or a common heritage. What makes us different is that we are united by an uncommon idea that we're all created equal and all endowed with unalienable rights. America is not just a country like other countries. America is an idea, and we, all of us, you, get to fill it out over time. Tomorrow, when President Salovey grants you those diplomas, listen to what he says. He won't say what is said at most schools, that your degree admits you to all its rights and privileges. At Yale, we say your degree admits you to all its rights and responsibilities. It means we need to renew that responsibility over and over again every day. It's not a one-time decision. Participation is the best antidote to pessimism and ultimately cynicism. So I ask you today, on a celebratory afternoon, as you think about the future, remember what happened when the Founding Fathers had finished their hard work at the Constitutional Convention in Philadelphia. And Ben Franklin, tired, end of day, walked out at night down the steps of the hall. A woman called to him. She said, "Tell us, Dr. Franklin, what do we have? A monarchy or a republic?" And he answered, "A republic, if you can keep it." Class of 2014, we know what you have, a world-class education, if you will use it. Congratulations to you, good luck, and God bless.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary, and thank you for these inspiring words that remind us that each and every one of us, and particularly members of the class of 2014, can make a difference, and we need you to make that difference. Well, all right, seniors. I have some business I need to conduct with you. It's about tomorrow. But before we get to that, I need to announce a list of names. I know you're going to go crazy as I read these names. And I need all these folks to come up and sit in these very special empty white chairs here in front of what seems to be yet more of Jonathan Edwards. This does seem to be the watchword of the day. Joshua Fred Ackerman. Catherine Francis Aragon. Samuel Anton Bernstein. Kevin Chen. Alan Saul Elbaum. Enrico Giuseppe Ferro. Beata Claudia Fisher. John Luke Foster. Emily Da Young Hong. Molly Elise Houlihan. Sebastian Hassan John Kuchaki. Leah Ann Latterner. Hillary Rose O'Connell. Miranda Rose Peoples. Kendall Flynn Poland. Antonia Elizabeth Wofford. So seniors, while these folks are making their way up, we need to do a little dress rehearsal for tomorrow. So let me tell you what we're going to do. At commencement, and it's going to be another perfect day, can I just say, class of 2014, you have been able to conjure the most magical weather of my term as dean. There will be perfect weather tomorrow, so we'll be at commencement. It'll be a little bit like this, except that you'll be wearing the conventional hats, not these crazy things. And I will stand up here in front of President Salve, and I'll present all of you to him so that you can receive your degrees. Now, listen up. The last two sentences of my request to President Salve are going to be, they have been recommended by the faculty of the school and approved by the corporation. I now ask you, by your official act, to confer upon them these degrees. When you hear these words, confer upon them these degrees, I want you to shout loud and clear, woohoo! Okay? Something like that. So let's practice now. They have been recommended by the faculty of the school and approved by the corporation. I now ask you, by your official act, to confer upon them these degrees. Oh, come on. That really wasn't very good. That was a dress rehearsal. Let's try again. They have been recommended by the faculty of the school and approved by the corporation. I now ask you, by your official act, to confer upon them these degrees. That was much better. Now remember that tomorrow, because we will outshout all the other schools.
Will Sam Bernstein and Kendall Poland please come to the stage? It is my distinct honor to present the William Mallory and Nellie Elliott Awards to the outstanding male and female student athletes in the class. Sam Bernstein is the first golfer in school history to win this prestigious award. Sam has earned all Ivy honors 4 consecutive years. As a freshman, he was the outstanding Rookie of the Year, helping his team to win the Ivy League Golf Championship. In both his junior and senior years, he was the Ivy League Player of the Year. He is a 2-time Academic All-American, the captain of the team. Sam is the 2014 William Mallory Award winner. Congratulations, Sam.
Thank you very much. Do I walk to the back now?
I think you want Mark Shaker over there. Kendall Poland is a four-time first-team All-Ivy honoree. As a freshman, she was the Ivy League Rookie of the Year, and Yale won the Ivy Championship. As a sophomore, Kendall was the Player of the Year, and Yale won the Ivy Championship. As a junior, Kendall was the Player of the Year, and Yale won the Ivy Championship. There's a pattern developing here. Unprecedented in school and Ivy League history, Kendall earned a 3rd consecutive Player of the Year award, and her teammates won the volleyball championship for the 4th consecutive year. Captain of the team and a remarkable student athlete, the Nellie Elliott Award winner, Kendall Poland. Congratulations.
On behalf of the Council of Masters and the Yale College Dean's Office, I am honored to present the following awards to students in Yale College. The David Everett Chantler Award is given to a senior who has best exemplified qualities of courage, strength of character, and high moral purpose. This year we honor 4 seniors: John Luke Foster of Davenport College, Alan Saul Elbaum of Pearson College. Beata Claudia Fisher of Morse College. And Joshua Fred Ackerman of Berkeley College. John Luke Foster, elected Phi Beta Kappa in his junior year, has distinguished himself through his stellar academic accomplishments in ethics, politics, and economics. To all his work, in and out of the classroom, he has brought a deep humanitarianism, immense strength of character, and high moral purpose. The same is true of his sustained, caring relationships with classmates, friends, and family, especially during their time of need. To them, he is more than an accomplished scholar. He is a source of strength, comfort, and hope. In recognition of these combined virtues, we honor John Luke Foster with the David Everett Chandler Award. A Near Eastern languages and civilizations major, Alan Elbaum is fluent in both Hebrew and Arabic. At Yale, he has been a leader in the Multi-Faith Council and the Jews and Muslim Student Group. As Religious Life Chair of the Hillel Board, he has sponsored interfaith worship among Jews, Muslims, and Christians on campus. Prior to medical school, he will be working next year as an intern at Al-Manara, a nonprofit organization in Nazareth dedicated to the advancement of persons with disabilities in the Arab Society of Israel. For his commitment to peace and reconciliation, we honor Alan Elbaum with the David Everett Chandler Award. A first-generation American and a first-generation college student, Beata Fisher has leapt into every aspect of college life with courage, compassion, and leadership. Her sense of community stretches from the group of freshmen for whom she serves as counselor to the college, where she is a beloved and ever-present friend, to the larger world, where her research on environmental sustainability is driven by an intergenerational commitment to the health of our world. For these values and for her contributions across 4 years of citizenship at Yale, we honor Beata Fisher with the David Everett Chandler Award. Joshua Ackerman has pursued a challenging double major, earning a Bachelor of Science in Molecular, Cellular, and Developmental Biology and a Bachelor of Arts in Latin American Studies, graduating with a total of 43 credits. At the same time, he has devoted himself to the community, earning service awards that include Berkeley's Samantha Lando Beggs Prize, the Yale College Public Service Research Prize, and the Yale Global Health Initiative Field Experience Award. He has also been a freshman counselor, worked in admissions in various capacities, and dedicated himself to research in the School of Public Health. For his broad pursuit of service to others in learning and in action, we honor Joshua Ackerman with the David Everett Chandler Award. The Nakanichi Prize is awarded to 2 graduating seniors who, while maintaining high academic achievement, have provided exemplary leadership in enhancing race or ethnic relations in Yale College. This year's prize is awarded to Kevin Chen of Pearson College and Catherine Frances Aragon of Timothy Dwight College. Kevin Chen's peers call him a powerhouse, and his love for the Asian American community infectious. For the past 2 years, he has worked with the Asian American Cultural Center to mentor, advise, and assist many freshmen, collaborating with over 25 student groups to promote multiculturalism. He was the key organizer of the first ever Asian night market, which has now been adopted as an annual tradition. Securing a bid to host the Intercollegiate Taiwanese American Students Association East Coast Conference at Yale, a bid that Yale has not won in a decade, he dedicated 14 months of his time to make the event a spectacular success. He founded Queer and Asian, an organization providing a safe space for dialogue on the intersection of sexuality and racial identity. Outside of Yale, he has organized health fairs with the Charles B. Wong Community Health Center, reaching over 4,000 Chinatown residents. His efforts never cease, and his unmatched energy and zeal shine through all his selfless work. In recognition of these contributions, we are honored to bestow the Nakanichi Prize upon Kevin Chen. Katie Aragon's commitment to racial and social justice has been unparalleled. From serving as president of MECHA to co-founding the Myanmar Project, she has left an indelible mark both on Yale and on other Connecticut communities. While at Yale, she has organized campus responses to several national concerns, including the murder of Trayvon Martin and Arizona's ban on ethnic studies. But her commitment to racial justice does not end at the Yale gates. She has worked in refugee camps abroad, helped develop an educational curriculum for local refugees, and coordinated MECHA's bilingual Get Out the Vote efforts in Fairhaven. She is a devoted public servant and an inspiration to her fellow students. In recognition of these contributions, we are honored to bestow the Nakanichi Prize upon Catherine Frances Aragon. The Roosevelt Thompson Prize is awarded to a graduating senior for commitment to and capacity for public service. We honor 3 outstanding students this year: Miranda Peoples of Calhoun College, Emily DeYoung Hong of Pearson College, and Hillary Rose O'Connell of Timothy Dwight College. Miranda Peoples embodies service to others as a wilderness first responder, an emergency medical technician, a Walden peer counselor, a Yale chaplaincy fellow, a World Fellow liaison, and this year as the head freshman counselor in Calhoun. When Calhoun Dean Leslie Woodard died this past October, she faced her greatest test, yet somehow rallied the FROCO team, reminding them and us that the greatest opportunity for giving comes in the moment of greatest need. For her astonishing selflessness, we are proud to recognize Miranda Peoples with the Roosevelt Thompson Prize. An environmental studies major, Emily DeYoung Hong has served as a community consent counselor and as the head freshman counselor in Pearson. Nationally, she has worked to address inequities in digital access while serving as a fellow in the San Francisco Mayor's Office of Civic Innovation, sponsoring the Open Law Initiative to increase online accessibility to legislative documents. She has been awarded a Fulbright to support research in Korea on the role of urban youth in economic and environmental sustainability. For her dedication to public service on the local, national, and international level, we honor Emily DeYoung Hong with the Roosevelt Thompson Prize. One of the foremost queer voices on campus, Hillary Rose O'Connell, has transformed Yale College through her warmth, fairness, compassion, and strong sense of moral purpose. With the boundless energy characteristic of her, she has provided leadership within Yale's vibrant LGBT community. As president of the LGBTQ Student Cooperative, on the Inter-Ivy board that brought the annual Ivy League LGBTQ conference to Yale, as chair of the Pride Committee that plans Pride at Yale, and as a freshman counselor known among all freshman counselors as a wise resource for anyone with questions about freshman and LGBTQ life. For her outstanding commitment to her fellow students in Yale College, we honor Hillary Rose O'Connell with the Roosevelt Thompson Prize. I've asked Hillary to stay where she is. The James Andrew Haas Memorial Prize is awarded to that senior whose breadth of intellectual achievement, strength of character, and fundamental humanity shall be adjudged by the faculty to have provided leadership for his or her fellow students, inspiring them to a love of learning and concern for others. The Haas Prize is awarded this year to Hillary Rose O'Connell of Timothy Dwight College. There's more to say about Hillary. Within 3 weeks of her arrival as a freshman, Hillary Rose O'Connell threw the closet door wide open and launched her Yale career as a queer woman, LGBTQ community organizer, and major in women's gender and sexuality studies. She has combined this vocation throughout her time at Yale with the highest ideals of intellectual endeavor. Hillary was elected Phi Beta Kappa at commencement and graduates summa cum laude with distinction in the major. For her senior essay, the faculty awarded her the Steer Prize for, quote, the essay which best exemplifies advances in scholarship gained by focusing on women and gender roles or by employing feminist theory. For her outstanding service to the life of the mind and to the life of the world, and for her clear promise of strong moral leadership in the future, Yale College is proud to bestow the James Andrew Haas Memorial Prize for 2014 upon Hillary Rose O'Connell.
Good afternoon, class of 2014. 4 years ago, you tread amid the Gothic towers and weather traditions that sew our community together. And like any inquiring overachiever, had questions. What's next? Will I make friends? Will I measure up? And maybe, just maybe, you stopped and quietly wondered why a place like Yale, a place that sparked the drive of presidents and nurtured the pursuits of world-renowned scholars, a place that steeled the drive of community leaders and Pulitzer Prize winners and exceptionally distinguished secretaries of state, would ever want you? I confess I asked all of these questions and more. You see, I took an unconventional path to Yale. 5 years ago, I was working the evening shift at a clothing store in the suburbs of Virginia. My family had moved every year for the past 5, and our finances were so depleted that retirement was not a possibility. Worse yet, my son was a junior at a Johnny-come-lately Ivy League college in New Jersey, and hearing about his privileged friends often reminded me of all the things I wanted to give him, but couldn't. I once confessed this to him, and he replied, "If you really want to spoil me, spoil yourself." And then he took my hands, and he told me that I had a brilliant mind and deserved better than everything I had ever known. That summer, I started community college while working full-time. Education was my second chance. It awoke in me a curiosity, vitality, and dignity which I never knew I could feel. When I read Eliot and Miller and Morrison, it was as if I was the first person to have ever read them, as if they held secret insights into the human soul and condition. My soul was imbued with a redemptive and insatiable vigor, and I decided I simply couldn't stop. I transferred to an Ivy League school in Manhattan, and when I wanted more, I took a shot at the real deal. Walking amid these Gothic towers, walking amid these traditions, and most importantly, walking among this brilliant, vibrant, and unapologetically eclectic class of 2014 has been humbling and inspiring. Whether debating issues in class, chatting over coffee, or simply watching our Bulldogs trounce Cambridge schools, I have relished, learned, and loved every moment I have ever shared with you. You have made me a better person, and I only hope that I have helped in some way to do the same for you. And yet, even now, this is surreal. You see, 4 years ago, I was convinced that no one would want me, that I wouldn't measure up, and as far as knowing what was next, I suppose I had somewhat resigned myself to more of the same. But I've come to learn that nothing great can really ever be accomplished without a healthy dose of terror. No one ever wrote epic poems, built monuments, or told bedtime stories about people who played it safe. I was terrified when I came to Yale. A big part of me thought I wasn't good enough, but a big part of life is ignoring the naysayers, especially the one inside you. So many people are dissuaded from doing great things by no one but themselves. So I learned to tell myself, the naysayer inside of me, to shut up. Sometimes in the mirror in the morning, and other times in the dark before I went to bed. And when I realized I could conquer my own fears, I could conquer just about anything. You have likely all encountered your own fears and misgivings. I charge you to continue conquering them and telling that voice to shut up when necessary. Because in the end, your greatness will not be about IQ. In the end, it will be about the sincerity of your ambitions, the toughness of your character, and your unwillingness to compromise in the face of difficulty, fear, and uncertainty. And should someone tell you, as they have told me, that it can't be done, or it's too late, or it's not worth the trouble, should others beseech you to take the safe route, stick to the path of least resistance, or quit while you're ahead? Should people tell you you don't belong, or it's too late, or your dreams are impractical. Look them in the eyes and grin a little and let them know it's possible.
Thank you so much, Lauren. The Louis Sudler Prizes for Excellence in the Performing and Creative Arts are awarded to two outstanding seniors, John Luke Foster of Davenport College and Molly Elise Houlihan of Calhoun College. John Luke Foster is the embodiment of the scholar artist, a classical pianist who has performed at the highest levels. His mentors describe him as an artist who possesses both technical mastery and expressive depth. His interpretations of Mozart, Brahms, Janáček, and Beethoven demonstrate clarity of purpose and a sense of ease, even as he tackles difficult works. Through numerous first prizes in prestigious competitions and with a long list of important recitals behind him, his star is already rising on the international stage. For his extraordinary achievements and his extraordinary promise, Yale College is proud to award the Louis Sudler Prize to John Luke Foster. Molly Elise Houlihan, oh, come a little closer, arrived at Yale as a seasoned stage actor and quickly discovered her gift for directing. Double majoring in film studies and theater studies, she plunged into the study of writing, directing, performance, dramaturgy, and film analysis, and became one of the theater community's most sought-after directors. She has now directed nearly a dozen productions, from two-person shows to the extravaganza Hair, from the classics to new works written by her classmates, and as a rising senior last summer, she earned a coveted spot in the New York International Fringe Festival. To every one of her projects, she has brought a powerful creative vision, which culminated this spring in a spellbinding musical adaptation of the children's book, The Paperback Bag Princess. For her extraordinary achievements and extraordinary promise, Yale College is proud to award the Louis Sudler Prize to Molly Elise Houlihan. The Warren Memorial High Scholarship Prize for the senior majoring in the humanities who ranks highest in scholarship is awarded this year to Leah Ann Lederner of Calhoun College. Leah Lederner has distinguished herself not only through her scholarship and her research at the Child Studies Center, but also through her accomplishments as a musician. In her time at Yale, she has sung and held an officer position with the Yale Glee Club, has been principal flautist with the Yale Concert Band, and has cultivated her skills in piano and composing. Ms. Ladner, oh, come a little closer. Thank you. Is a member of the Psi Chi Psychology Honor Society and was elected to Phi Beta Kappa after only 4 terms of enrollment. Now, after completing 39.5 course credits, Ms. Ladner has earned distinction in both her music major and her psychology major and graduates summa cum laude with no grade lower than A- and 38.5 course credits of straight A. In recognition of her extraordinary achievements as a student and musician, Yale College is proud to award the Warren Memorial High Scholarship Prize to Leah Ann Lederner. the Arthur Twining Hadley Prize, which honors the memory of the man who served as president of Yale from 1899 to 1921, is awarded annually to the senior in Yale College majoring in the social sciences who ranks highest in scholarship. The Arthur Twining Hadley Prize is awarded to Antonia Elizabeth Woodford of Ezra Stiles College. Antonia Woodford graduates from Yale summa cum laude with a double major in history and economics and with distinction in the history major. Elected to Phi Beta Kappa in her senior year, she has earned 2 course credits of A-, with her other 36 course credits all straight A. With a deep interest in historical research and public policy since her high school days, Ms. Woodford has written at Yale for the Yale Daily News, and I should add that she has covered me, and been co-founder and editor-in-chief of the Yale Journal of Economics. Her dedication to journalism in print and in other media has meant her influence has been felt well beyond the classroom, and we are confident that she will continue to make an impact in the world of media and finance. In recognition of her extraordinary record and her promise of future success, Yale proudly confers the Arthur Twining Hadley High Scholarship Prize this year upon Antonia Woodford. The Russell Henry Chittenden Prize for the senior majoring in the natural sciences or mathematics, who ranks highest in scholarship, is awarded this year to Sebastian Hassan John Kuchaki of Berkeley College. Sebastian Kuchaki was elected to Phi Beta Kappa in his senior year and graduates summa cum laude with distinction in his major, receiving a joint BS-MS in molecular biophysics and biochemistry. He has earned 38.5 credits, 37.5 of which are straight A. Mr. Kuchaki has done extensive research at the Yale Stem Cell Center and was awarded a Yale Science Scholars Grant. In addition to writing for Yale Scientific, the oldest college science publication in the nation, he has co-authored 2 papers in peer-reviewed journals. Mr. Kuchaki has volunteered with Yale's Hunger and Homelessness Action Project, serving as co-director this past year. He's balanced his extensive scientific and community service endeavors with his devotion to music and to his university by being a member of the Yale Precision Marching Band. In recognition of his indefatigable commitment to academic excellence, Yale College proudly awards the Russell Henry Chittenden Prize to Sebastian Hassan John Kuchaki. The Alpheus Henry Snow Prize is awarded annually to that senior who, through the combination of intellectual achievement, character, and personality, shall be adjudged by the faculty to have done the most for Yale by inspiring in his or her classmates an admiration and love for the best traditions of high scholarship. This year, the Snow Prize is awarded to Enrico Giuseppe Ferro of Morris College. Elected to Phi Beta Kappa in his senior year, Enrico Ferro graduates summa cum laude with distinction in his molecular, cellular, and developmental biology major. His passion for medical science is deeply personal. His older brother, Leonardo, was born with cardiomyopathy, a condition that fueled Enrico's desire to help others. That passion, along with a superlative work ethic, has resulted in an academic record with no grade lower than A- and 34 course credits of straight A. An international student from Sardinia, Mr. Ferro has worked to remove barriers to medical care in ways that are nothing short of global. In Lima, Peru, he investigated how alcohol use and social stigma can jeopardize access to HIV care among homosexual men, and he later presented his findings at the 2013 International AIDS Society Conference. He then worked in Kuala Lumpur to examine how substance use and discrimination can compromise HIV treatment for injection drug users in Malaysia. In Togo, Mr. Ferro developed a health education curriculum that was introduced into the schools there. In his most recent research at Yale, he has analyzed the signaling mechanisms that regulate tumor regression. In March, these findings were published in the journal Nature Communications. This fall, he will begin medical school at Harvard. For his inspiring record of scholarly and social achievement, for his love of learning, and for his boundless energy and compassion, Yale College is proud to confer the Alpheus Henry Snow Prize upon Enrico Giuseppe Ferro.
Okay, first things first. Okay, before I begin, I've been told it's time for the 7th inning stretch. So I apologize to those of you that are dehydrated from last night. Dad. Salve. But I've been allotted 20 seconds of my speech to let you guys stretch. So, everybody, up, 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 up. Let's up. All right, 15 seconds left, everyone. Reach over to High Street Gate. Oh, yeah. And to Phelps Gate. Oh, yeah. And to the sky. And to your toes, why not? And now, before you sit down, everybody laugh. Great, that was my first joke. Sit down, sit down, sit down. Okay, the real start. I want to say good afternoon to all of the brilliant, inspiring, spectacular, beautiful people here today. Oh, and also to the Yale graduating class of 2014. Now, I know what you're thinking. How did they get Scarlett Johansson to give a student speech? I know, virtually identical. Unfortunately for you, it's just me, but luckily for you, I'll be in New Haven a couple more nights, so call me. I'm kidding. I know what you're actually thinking, and I agree. John Kerry does not look a day over 22. Yes, Secretary Kerry, you can give me a job. Okay, before I go any further, I have one public service announcement. If at any point you don't like my speech today, you can simply reply all M to mute. Okay, real talk. So much has changed in the past 4 years, and not just our parents' bank accounts. Hashtag tuition. Oh, you want examples? I got 5. 1. Since we arrived, the NSA took away our privacy, while Yale took away our safety. Dance. 2, the word selfie is now in the dictionary. Oh, your grandparents are confused? I'll demonstrate. Secretary Kerry. Don't worry, I don't work for Samsung. 3, when we arrived in 2010, Miley was filming her last season of Hannah Montana. I know. And during our senior fall, she taught us how to twerk, which I won't demonstrate. I'll let you describe that to your grandparents yourselves. You're welcome. 4, we all remember sophomore year when Yale decided it would never give another A, or A minus, or B plus, or even one lousy B. Now, if everyone can just smile and nod with me so my parents still believe what I told them. 5, we've also witnessed great Yale achievements. Just since we've been upperclassmen, 2 Yale faculty were named Nobel laureates, and our hockey team brought home the national championship. Only at Yale. Okay, enough fooling around, Ariel. Use this podium for good and advise the nice people. But what authority do I have to advise you? We're Yaleys. We know everything, including the typical graduation advice. We already know teamwork makes the dream work. I mean, just try doing the naked run alone. And go with your gut. Nobody got to their seat today without taking at least clapping for credit, structure of networks, or Vikings, exclamation point. Totally stumped, I wrote this speech the same way I did every other Yale paper. Last night, before opening a Word document, I finished a box of Cheez-Its, stalked my Facebook crush. Linda Lorimer, you looked great at Myrtle. I checked BuzzFeed. I Facebook stalked again. Ronell Higgins, you also looked great. And then I called my mommy. My mom's been giving me the same send-off since my first day of kindergarten. As I nervously slid out of her station wagon that morning, my mom gave me one last kiss and the best advice I've ever received. Just make somebody's life better because you're in it, she said. Make somebody's life better because you're in it. It's the most important thing we can do, and it's not that hard. No, you don't have to cure cancer, although, who am I kidding? I'm sure one of you will. But we do owe it to the people around us to be kind. And guess what? You've already done it. You've already made many people's lives better simply by being in them. Don't believe me? Just look around you. Or if it's more aesthetically pleasing, you can keep looking at me. You've certainly made my life better. Bulldog days, the pre-frost weekend to make up for all those parties we skipped in high school. Yet, on the second day, I woke up crying, overwhelmed, unsure if I could ever fit in here. Puffy-eyed, I meandered towards Old Campus, a quiet carpet of strewn a cappella tickets and improv flyers. Then, I heard my name. Shockingly, it wasn't my imagination, but a boy I'd met on a different college visit. Yeah, I got into more than one college. Humble brag. He invited me to lunch with some other pre-frosh, and bada bing, bada boom, just like that, I felt at home in a place that had moments ago seemed impossibly unknowable. A few weeks later, I chose Yale. Thanks, Bobby. Then there was the time and time again when there wasn't any profound commencement speech-worthy moral, but we just stayed up chatting, ordered Wenzel's at 3 a.m., and we were here, together. We gotta keep doing this stuff after Yale. And I promise you, it's easy. Okay, let's start with smiling at people on the sidewalk. 0 effort, really nice. When you leave a fitting room, put your clothes back on the hangers, even if you're at Gant. Call your parents. If you think the coworker you've never talked to rocked her presentation, tell her it's not creepy, it'll make her day. When you're asking yourself, am I supposed to tip for that? Tip anyway. Call your parents again. Oh. And don't poop in people's laundry. They hate that. So, make somebody's life better because you're in it. Heed my mom's advice, smart lady. Class of 2014, we all have 36 credits of Yale classes. or more, but you just heard about those kids. But we have infinite credits of Yale experience and people, and for that, I am truly grateful, and better for it. I want to thank you for having equal enthusiasm for your work as for the people around you, for making me laugh, for ruining the grading curve in Physics 181, for inspiring me every day. I will miss this magical place and you all dearly. So, if there is only one more thing you take away from my speech today, please, please let it be this. 276-4898. And congratulations.
Seniors, we tried very, very hard to make it impossible for you to know who we are, but in the event that most of you have our email addresses forwarding to trash right now, here we are, your senior class gift co-chairs. As you may know, the 2014 Senior Class Gift campaign ran for 3 weeks this past February as our class's way of recognizing and thanking Yale for our experiences these last 4 years. We're here today very proud to announce the results of our class's success.
Through donations to the university's unrestricted giving fund, our class alone raised $33,387 and inspired over $300,000 in additional donations from alumni. $96.6 of those of you seated here contributed, adding to an extraordinary 1,286 individual gifts from our class.
During the campaign, we saw colleges rally in support of our university and its incoming class. For the first time ever, all 12 residential colleges exceeded 95% participation. Because of this, every college secured a scholarship for an incoming freshman. In particular, we want to recognize Trumbull College for raising the most total dollars, and Jonathan Edwards College for achieving the highest percent participation.
To the class of 2014, to all of our volunteers, and to the administration, thank you. As we enter the real world, we hope you remember that because of your contributions, the dog days will never be over.
Classmates, today at Class Day, originally called Presentation Day, we gather here on Old Campus, as many Yaleys have before us, to share one last social occasion together before commencement. On Class Day, we celebrate the symbolic traditions that have been performed by undergraduates for over 200 years. And as your Class Day chairs, Josh and I would like to share some of these traditions with you.
If you look inside your gift bags, you will find a clay church warden pipe, a tradition that was first recorded by a member of the class of 1869. For the last 150 years on Class Day, seniors have brought their pipes outside, formed a circle of friends, and shared one last smoke together. Or first smoke together. Afterwards, they would stick the pipes in the ground and crush them to symbolize the end of college life and to seal their friendships. We hope that before commencement tomorrow, you will have a chance to recreate the scene of crushing the clay pipes with your friends before you graduate.
Since 1851, graduating classes have planted a sprig of ivy somewhere on campus. This year, the sprig was planted next to Connecticut Hall, the oldest building at Yale. In addition, the numbers 2014 are now engraved on the Phelps Gate archway for all incoming and outgoing classes to see.
This year, we are also proud to continue a more recent tradition started by the class of 2011. Inside your bags, you will find the class anthology, a short collection of works written by some of our classmates. This booklet contains the ode and speeches delivered here today, and also the submissions of each of the finalists. Yale is enriched by its diversity, and we hope this booklet will help capture a range of perspectives on our time at Yale.
In just a few minutes, we will view a witty twist on an old tradition. The class history, historically narrated by 4 people, used to be presented to the class as a series of written inside jokes. And since 2007, and again this year, members of each graduating class have instead written, produced, and directed a short film, which will forever be preserved in the annals of the Beinecke Library and YouTube.
Class Day is a time to celebrate the enduring friendships we formed at Yale, to reflect on our 4 years here, and to honor the rich traditions of the past as we look to the future. It's also an opportunity to renew, reinvigorate, and re-envision these traditions in our own way. In that spirit, we are proud to introduce this year's Ivy Ode, which for the first time in Yale's history will come in the form of a spoken word poem. These traditions, the pipe, the sprig of ivy, the engraving of 2014, the class anthology, and the class history, these remind us that even as our bright college years come to a close, we are always part of Yale, and Yale is and always will be part of us. Congratulations, class of 2014!
The Ivy Ode. Okay, before I start, I want to give a shout out to your residential college, varsity sport, off-campus housemates, debate team, musical ensemble, Greek entourage, radio show co-hosts, online editor, English 120 section, cultural center crew, pre-orientation program, lab partner, dining hall acquaintance. Shout out to the last 4 years. Shout out to the experience section of your resume. And to your real experiences, the late night revelry, Wenzels and booze, the all-nighters like carrying across to 6 a.m., whispers over poorly made ethnic dishes in the dining hall about how much you hate poorly made ethnic dishes. Shout out to chicken tenders, though. Shout out to classes that made you grip your hair and wonder how you'll ever learn everything about this historical period or developing nation, because that's all you want to do from now until the end. Shout out to your opinion editorials and to the comments section. Shout out to the night you changed clothes 3 times before deciding your outfit said toads. Shout out to every wodes of senior year. Shout out to the swags. If we're still using that word. Or have we finally emerged from burnout, Phoenix-like, as women? Shout out to your friends from home and Harvard. Shout out to your extended family seated at the back. Shout out to your freshman advisor. Whatever happened to that guy? Shout out to all your glorious consensual relationships. Shout out to your D-tagged Facebook photos. Shout out to your grades, whether they adorn your resume like gold leaf or hang burden from your neck, because today, you are graduating from Yale. Anybody who's got something to say about that can take a second look at the A in your diploma. Shout out to your rearview memories. Failures in retrospect may appear closer than they are, so gas pedal forward. Shout out to your future. Shout out to the uncertainty fermenting in the pit of your stomach. Remember that what you do next year is what you do next year. Do not close read. This isn't English seminar. This is just 2 words. This is just 365 days. You have already lived so much more than that. Remember, it doesn't have to be easy. It doesn't have to be successful. The only rule from now on is that you keep passion pumping through you like adrenaline, so shout out to your certainty. Shout out to your life dreams metamorphosing into fact. Shout out to getting here, to this plastic white folding chair. Shout out to your thesis, to your last recital, to your final critique. Shout out to the ones who did this before us. John Kerry. Who put on these robes and took them off and survived. Shout out to the ones who aren't here, the ones we lost, to leaves of absence, to permanent leaves of absence. Shout out to fall leaves, to the colors this Elm City wears at the beginning of each year, to the phenomenon of dying trees marking new beginnings. Shout out to our last fall semester. Shout out to the spring. Shout out to the Yale Alumni Association. Shout out to reunions, for lunch in the city, for the game, for old time's sake. Shout out to a society of friends with no expiration date. Shout out to this view, to this vision of youth and energy, to the laurels firmly crowning your heads. Shout out to you, the class of 2014!
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. This is a video that we made. We hope you enjoy it.
I hear if you step on it, you don't graduate.
What is this? What's going on?
The video.
What?
The class day video.
Again? Are you kidding me? What is this? Every freaking year? 4 years in a row now. First it was Murray Biggs guides you through life after Yale. Then next year, Yale's going to the moon or something, so I'm playing Rick Levin because of course I look and sound just like him. And then I'm telling a ghost story as a foot leader. I'm 96 years old. Foot leaders are 20. I could be some foot leader's great-grandfather. Besides, most kids don't even do foot. You're telling me there's no other professor at Yale with some iota of charisma who can narrate, drag us through some plotless series of jokes for 15 minutes before you all get chucked out into the big bad world? Well, I'm not doing it. Seriously. Find someone else.
Class of 2014, congratulations. You are about to graduate from Yale College and enter a very exciting and important phase of your lives.
All right. I'll do it.
Okay, yeah. All right.
Well, since I'm kind enough to do this, let's get a few things straight. First, this is going to be short and sweet. I'm sure most of your legs are already asleep after that wonderful address by
Secretary of State John Kerry.
And second, if you think I'm going to spend your last few minutes of class day guiding you through some inane story about Yale is in peril and the class of 2014 has to band together to save the day, dinosaurs attack Yale or some idiotic thing like that, who wants to see a crap movie like that anyway?
Me.
Me.
I do.
Me.
Sounds good.
Yes. I'd like to see a dinosaur.
Well, too damn bad. This is serious business. We're going to do this nice and simple. First, we'll reminisce about the great times you had at Yale and who knows, maybe didn't have during your 4 years. Then some celebrities will unexpectedly congratulate you on your big day. We'll think about the future for a moment and then we'll all go home. And no dinosaurs.
sure it would be scary if one of these were to come back to life.
I'm gonna party all day.
Okay, just take normal, be friendly. Oh god, I don't think I'm moving my arms right. Oh crap, now I'm thinking about it. Okay, how do you—
Just make eye contact. Smile a little. Maybe say hi. What's wrong with saying hi? That's not weird, is it? Just say—
Oh no, I can't remember how to walk. This is not how a normal person walks. Crap. Crap.
Okay guys, this seminar is capped at 15 students and we have 16 sitting here right now. We're gonna have to find some way to narrow it down. And I think that the fairest method to do so would be to—
What?
Here.
Apparently there's supposed to be a joke about science here, which is historically underrepresented in the Class Day video because it's almost always made by imbeciles majoring in the humanities. Do you think we can get this graph up on the screen? Unfortunately, this year is no different, and the filmmakers wish to express their regret about the lack of meaningful scientific humor. As consolation, however, they hope you will enjoy a brief montage, a tribute to science, which depicts in earnest what they think you scientists might have been up to. Well, let's see what's next. Well, I suppose we should have some celebrity cameos now, shouldn't we? Yeah, it seems to make the kids happy for some reason. All right, well, roll the clip.
Congratulations, class 2014.
Congratulations, Yale Class of 2014.
Watch it, frog! Hi-ya!
Congratulations, Yale College Class of 2014. God bless you.
Well, here come my congratulations to the class of 2014. My class was a slightly lower number. When I was at Yale...
Who is Dick Cavett?
Well, who's Dick Cavett? Well, I am. I guess I'm best known as a talk show host on various networks, on and off the air from time to time, and famous somehow for getting guests nobody else could get. For example, the great Katharine Hepburn.
Who's Katharine Hepburn?
Who's Jimmy Fallon?
May I have your attention, please? May I have your attention, please? This is a test of the Yale Alert System. This is a test of the Yale Alert System.
Wait a minute.
What happened to your face?
Oh, this? I cut myself shaving.
But it looks like you got attacked by a dinosaur.
I cut myself shaving!
Cool.
Remember, remember, remember. You do remember, you will remember, because that's all you can do. Graduation is bittersweet. We can distract you for a few minutes with laughs.
Meh. That was it.
But the reality is that Yale is a memory now. And memories don't so much save time as salvage it.
Salve and I always would appear in these videos together. I'd say something funny and there'd be a joke about his old mustache and bam, everybody's happy. And then he goes and becomes president. Now where is he? And next year you're not going to be dean anymore. Everything changes. Nothing lasts. What's going on?
The class of 2014 is leaving Yale.
Where are they going?
That way.
What the heck is that way? That's probably not where they're going.
No.
Shouldn't there be more students?
It's hard to get people to come out for these shoots.
Isn't this sort of an obvious metaphor? So this is it?
I guess so.
Be good to each other. Too much?
No.
Deans and Masters, Secretary Kerry, and students of the class of 2014, please rise, take out your white handkerchiefs, and prepare to sing Bright College Years. Thank you so much for coming out today.
Congratulations.